Hello, Jessica. Hello, Jackson family.
Hello.
But hi.
Are you gonna say hi? No.
Okay. It's okay. We respect that. Take a little time, warm up. We're going to play
Mhm.
together a little bit today. And hopefully we can be friends by the end. And if not, we'll work our way there little by little. Oh, well, I want to introduce myself. I'm Jennifer Henry, the founder and creator of NeuroNurture, the curriculum behind HBCU-ish by NeuroNurture, and also the founder and creator of HBCU-ish by NeuroNurture's virtual programs. We're super excited to have your family here today, um, and to have your interest in our program. If by the end there are any outstanding questions that you have, please feel free
Okay.
to just ask us any questions that you have. We are here and excited to help you walk away with all the information you might need. And her name is Micah.
Yes, yes. Sorry, she's running because daddy's coming through the door. You have to come in here then. Come in here.
So she is. How old is Micah?
So she is 20 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Hello.
Oh,
Hey, what are we talking about?
the program,
Ah,
but they were just asking how old Micah was, and Micah was acting scared.
are you serious?
listen, we are strangers, new faces here
Mm-hmm.
on a computer. I think if I were Micah, I might be a little bit like, wait a minute.
Right.
That's super
Yeah,
weird.
but if we were on this call for longer than say an hour, and once it's time to go, she won't want to leave. Then it's like, no, bye, bye.
And
Wait.
that is how our classes go, right, Miss D? Like
Yeah.
that's how they go. So we are really excited to tell you about HBCU-ish by NeuroNurture. I'm gonna go ahead and hop over to the screen share
Sure.
so we can start looking at the PowerPoint. Um, and we're just gonna start with giving you an overview of the program. I'll tell you how it came to be. And then at the very end, we'll go into a mini demo of the class. Were you able to grab the materials for the class?
Yes, the towels and the hot water, warm water, and ice, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right. So
we're
you'll
good
get
to
a, all right, perfect. So you'll get a sample, and I'll be playing along with my doll
go.
as we
Okay.
the
Oh,
class.
that might interest her because she's an animal lover. That's for sure.
Oh, it's a baby doll. It's just a little plastic doll. So I'll start
Oh,
doing that. Yes. Okay. So um, I'll hop right into our presentation. This is actually our Instagram page. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, and also neuronurture.org, facebook.com/neuronurture.org is our Facebook page. So you can find us on either platform. And then if you become a part of the HBCU-ish by NeuroNurture Virtual Village, then you will get access to our private groups where your class, whichever class you end up choosing, your class will have a private group where conversations, resources, information about the program are shared. All that stuff is shared in those groups privately.
okay.
All right. So let me tell you a little bit about the whole idea of HBCU-ish. So it just started with a vision. I went to Howard. My son had track today, so I was dressed down a lot. So you see my Howard shirt. But one of the things that I learned at Howard was just the joy of being in a space that was created for your own growth, for your specific cultural empowerment, for your own confidence. And so I just started to think as a mom, what if the confidence, connection, and culture of HBCUs was introduced earlier in life? Um, I went to Howard for undergrad and then I went to graduate school at NYU, and it was such a difference in the engagement and connection that I felt with not just the material, but truly the staff, the faculty, and the actual campus. So everything at HBCU ish by NeuroNurture is intended to be a safe space where our passion is creating programs and products that intentionally celebrate our families, and everything is based on internationally proven best practices. And just like the HBCU experience that empowered me and encouraged me and millions of others, enrollment in HBCU-ish programs unites your family with an interactive virtual village of other families where you can find resources, make connections, and share in our monthly wind down parent gatherings. And those have become one of my very favorite parts of the program. So we are, as I get into more of the PowerPoint, I'll show you where the NeuroNurture curriculum gets inspiration. But one of them is the cooperative school setting. And so with that, the parents have input on programming and offerings and services. And one of my parents at the beginning of the school year in October was like, can we possibly like get together outside of class as parents and talk, because like we have so many questions and we talk about things during class, but the kids are there, right?
Yeah.
And we have a policy that we don't talk about children in front of children because that's not powerful for children.
Mhm.
So I started doing this for that family, and it has grown into one of what I think is the most special parts of this program, which is hard to choose, right? This is the like it's hard to choose, but it has grown into a when we say virtual village, it truly is. So we get together once a month and we talk about anything. We've talked about marriage, we've talked about spankings. We've talked about, I mean, you name it. If they want to talk about it, we talk about it, and then we try to do some background research to support. So those wind downs have become a really beautiful, nurturing part of the program. And then I'll tell you more about the whole entire program, but just wanted to highlight that because that was a new addition to the program, and it's become a beautiful thing that's actually evolved now to in-person gatherings. So we're having our first free families getaway this summer here in Texas at Cedar Hill State Park, and it's going to be a Black family camp out. So it's really amazing how just getting together and bonding with our children and without has created a true family focus for the program, which was always the intention. So I mentioned that I went to Howard. When I was at Howard, I studied psychology. I did a lot of work in the public school systems there with tutoring children that were at risk. And then I went to graduate school at NYU. I was in a doctoral program where I studied neuroscience, and I specifically became enthralled with the concept of the development of cultural esteem and how that impacts social interactions, academic achievement, and just culture, like self-esteem long term. And that really informed me on what I thought was going to be the best practices for my own son, who was an infant at the very end of my program. And it actually informed me enough to stop the program, take a master's instead of the PhD, and stay at home with my son because of all the research and the findings that I had discovered through all my independent reading. So this is actually not a scientific journal right here. This is from the Washington Post, and it's actually more like a summary of a few different labs of research. But it's a really accessible article that's really interesting. And so it was from June of 2020, and it was called "What White Parents Get Wrong About Raising Anti-Racist Kids and How to Get It Right." So they talked about a lot of things in there, but some of the stuff that I wanted to hone in on were the things that really um, made me feel that it was important for our children to have spaces like this where they can grow up without external influences that may impact their long-term cultural and self-esteem, so or negatively impact that. So start by just saying that kids are essentialist thinkers, meaning that if they assume that people are the same on the outside, then they must be the same on the inside. It's kind of like an evolutionary conservative way of thinking to just survive as an infant, right? And so they truly can, they have studies where they've just given groups of kids two different shirts and they're in a class together, and just because their shirt color is the same, the kids will assume, well, everybody with a shirt color that's just like mine must be nice and friendly and smart and pretty like I think I am, right? So there's a few studies that I want to touch on from this review or from this article. So the first was there's a 2005 study by David Kelly, and they showed that 3-month-old babies can distinguish faces of on the basis of race, and that they can also show preferences towards faces of their own race. And then they extended this to talk about how by the time children are toddlers, they behave in prejudiced ways too, which are in alignment with their influences from whoever, whatever they're reading, whatever they're taking in every day in their environment. And then a second thing was there was another study by Phyllis Katz, and she founded the Institute for Research on Social Problems, and that's in Colorado. And she did a longitudinal study, which means she followed kids from one age for many years. So she started at 6 months and followed kids until they were 6 years old. And that was 200 children that she followed. 100 of them were black, 100 were white. And what she found is that when they were 3, these children were shown photos of children of different races, and then they were asked to choose who would you like to be friends with. And at 3 years old, the black children, 2/3 of them opted to not play with other black children, and a third of them only chose photos of other black kids. So the other 2/3 of black children obviously knew the race of children because we start to recognize it at 3 months, but did not place value on interacting with those children over the choice of other race faces. In contrast, 86% of white children only chose photos of other white kids. So 1 out of 10 roughly chose other race faces, but 9 out of 10 preferred only white faces. So that's not, there's a lot of implications that could be made there, but I want to just say that it really, really forced me to think, this and all the other studies I read forced me to really think what's happening between starting to recognize differences in people and then placing values on it by the age of 3, that's making children, our children, black children, not value or see the importance of being in community with other black children when you have to choose, right? Where is this valence coming from? Where are the choices coming from? And that is something that I wanted to hone in on empowering in our children and our allies. That of loving yourself and seeing yourself at the center of everything, not as a separate experience. So in 2012, I started coming up with activities for my son. This is actually my son when he was really little. He's now 10. But I started coming up with activities as a stay-at-home mom. I left my doctoral program and was just had a master's. And so I was like, out of the lab, but not out of the lab. So I started taking notes on everything we did every day, just being a scientist, but using my own baby, right? And it grew. So I had, by the end, I had this big folder of like activities and ideas and concepts, and started teaching myself about different philosophies around the world. And it was through that that whole folder of research and experiences and observations that my husband came to me one day, and when my son was 2.5, and he's like, so are we going to put him in school, or are you going to turn this folder into a school? What are you doing? And I'm not one to be challenged. So I asked him if we could turn half of our 1,200 square foot condo into a preschool. And he was like, no. So it took me a few months to convince him to give up half. And I did. And this is what used to be our dining room. And I turned it into interactive, engaging, hands-on math market and a musical center. So we studied different instruments every month from around the world, as well as common instruments that are found in everyday music that our kids listen to. And then this used to be our living room, and it became our auditorium space where we would have animal visitors. Here we have a laughter yoga visitor where she was helping us with some of the social emotional curriculum that I wrote for NeuroNurture, which focuses on allowing children to have space to be free, and to understand their feelings. So um, she was there helping them with laughter yoga, and that's something that we use for mindfulness exercises. And then it just grew from there. So in 2014 is when I opened this in my home, and then it grew into a school. So this was my first micro school in New Jersey, and this was the infant and parent room. This was the Reggio Emilia inspired um, exploration space. I called it the iLab. And so this was the water table and the light table. Everything was really intentional that was put in these spaces, down to the plants and the paint on the wall. I was very intentional about this space. And then this was the preschool kindergarten mixed age room. Just a building full of wonder, excitement, and child led learning. Um, Over the years, we have grown from where we started in my house to consulting, and now a national virtual program. So we serve families from all across everywhere in the United States and anywhere else where people want to have our access to our programs. So we have had a few media mentions, which were really exciting. The Howard Alumni Magazine was the first one. We had a beautiful spread talking about my first school, which was Hill Point Preparatory. And then more recently, we were in the Washington Post where we were talking about pod schooling, and then we went on CNN with John King, and we were interviewed live there to talk about our plans for pod schooling, and then most recently on Fox in Philadelphia, talking about the social emotional learning curriculum that includes the concept of careful compliments, and that's how we give feedback to our children and students. And then I was going to just tell you briefly about the different things that influence the NeuroNurture curriculum. So, Waldorf, Reggio Emilia, and Montessori are three really beautiful, open ended, child led, play based, creative, inspiring curriculum or philosophies. And I really thought that they were beautiful and enriching for children. So, those I take activities, we take concepts like the documentation. Documentation is from Reggio Emilia, and that's when you follow the way children learn through like pictures and anecdotal notes. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the cooperative component of family inclusion is huge, huge here because we are not a purchase. We are a partnership with your family in every single way because our passion is your child and your family. Now, translating this heavily experience based documentation based program to a virtual program requires a lot out of me and Mrs. D, but it also requires a lot out of the families. And so I'm always very upfront that it requires feedback from you. So you will get surveys. We do some game-based assessments at a later age for the older children. And there are also ways that you can give feedback on our Synapse Spark form, which is a way that you can give us updates on what your child is doing or how they're incorporating what we're doing in class into their everyday life. They always say really funny things that come out of the class, and we love to hear that. So it's a way for you to share with us what they're learning and what they are, taking in. Like my favorite story most recently is I have a little one who came into the program super shy and super quiet and just didn't want to do anything. And for Black History Month, we have family dance parties twice a week in the preschool program. And one time we danced to Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. We danced to music from all over the world. But this one time, it just really stuck with her. And weeks later, she was walking down the street with her mom in their brand new neighborhood, and out of nowhere just started singing at the top of her lungs, like, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. And her mom was like cracking up because she's this shy, little person. Here she was just belting out how much she loves herself. And it was just a point of pride for everyone that she, loves that about herself. And then mindfulness and grace. We're very, very, we have a lot of affirmations that we share with the parents that we want you to use as much as you want to use or need to use them to remind you of the big picture in parenting a free Black child. And grace is huge because oftentimes as we learn new things, we feel bad about the mistakes we made or we want to rush through things. And it's a really constant learning experience. So grace and mindfulness are huge expectations and requirements that we want you to always keep at the forefront of your life as you go through our program. And then it requires an investment of time. All of our programs are parent and child programs, or adult and infant, or adult and child programs. So we need you all to be present and connected as much as possible through all of the activities, especially with Micah's age. And then cooperation. That's a give and take, right? So like the one family said, I would like to meet in the evenings without my kids so we can talk, that type of thing where we can know how to best support you. If we're not doing everything you need in class, then let us know. And vice versa. Sometimes we ask things of the families, like my families are editing videos and doing different things to help for our end of the year program. And then we have a community focus, and that goes beyond just the people in the community of classes. We have 3 generations sometimes with us in class, and that is like some of our favorite moments when we have grandparents there with the parents and the child. So a community focus is everything about this whole experience that we're building together virtually and in person. So in this curriculum, the core ideas are presented through play. We follow the children on a personal and developmental level. We support the entire family with the curriculum and programs, and we try to make everything accessible to children and multiple learning styles. We are very noisy when needed. We celebrate the joy of children by like meeting them where they are, both physically by getting on their level and energetically. We are very hands-on and engaging program. So even with summer camp, which is a little bit different from our full year program, you get quarterly brain boxes that are shipped to your house, and they have handmade toys and materials. So that's a little bit different from summer camp. Summer camp is printable experiences, but there's still games that we incorporate into the program, which Mrs. D will talk about in a moment. So perfect segue. So we're going to talk now. Mrs. D is going to take over and talk to you about the themes for summer camp, and Mrs. D would actually be Micah's teacher.
Good evening. We are just so excited to be with you here tonight. I'm super excited to talk about our summer camp themes. Ms. Jen and I did lots of planning to make this experience fun, engaging. So our theme for summer camp, we are going on a literary journey where every week, we have chosen one book to focus on. And based off of that one book, we are going to have our family dance parties. We're going to do lots of hands-on messy play, creating sand, creating mud, lots of art activities, science experiments that are age appropriate, such as color mixing with food coloring and eyedroppers. We're also going to play lots of games that require critical thinking skills. We're going to play lots of games that require us to move our bodies, because these young and older toddlers are learning all about their bodies, body awareness, muscle control, and coordination. We are going to sing a lot. Ms. Jen has already said that we are loud. So music is a big component of summer camp and the NeuroNurture curriculum. So for our first session, we are going to dive in and we're exploring all about animals. So each book we have chosen, each book has either been authored by a person of color and the main characters are children of color, or our books are centered on animals and insects. So Ms. Jen's holding up an example of Whose Toes Are These, which again, we're going to explore our bodies, and just celebrate our children. We 100% believe in representation, and we want the children to see themselves in our stories. And then session 2 is all about me, or all about your biddy and your family. So again, from measurement to how tall are you, to reading a story about peekaboo morning and talking about daily routines and creating family trees. We are going to explore your toddler. We are going to explore your family life, and we are just going to have so much fun. And I just want to say the love of reading lasts a lifetime. And that's why for this summer, we have chosen to highlight books, because reading, not only are we introducing new skills and concepts through stories, it's an opportunity to bond with your little one. And we are all about bond boosting and brain boosting experiences. So we are super excited for both of our sessions to dive into some stories and just bring them alive through our play.
Thank you so much, Mrs. D. So Mrs. D will be your class guide. She is phenomenal. I'm going to give you all some background about her in a few slides. So your class is the Explorers class. You might hear some of the parents refer to it as mini school, and that's because that's the old name. So as we grow and things shift, as we adjust, we just kind of change the nomenclature a wee bit. So Explorers is the name of your class. The tuition is $170 per session for the live. So live is when you are just like this. You're with Mrs. D. It's interactive. You can talk real time. $90 per session for on demand. She popped into the screen in such a sweet way.
She's giving you some cupcake.
Oh, yum. I will take some cupcakes. Thank you. Thank you. Did you make that cupcake, Micah?
You don't know how she knew your name. She surprised you, huh? You shared some cupcake?
Thank you. So is $90 per session for on demand. The live enrollment also includes on demand, so you get the videos and you can review them for up to a week after the class is shared with everyone, and then they will be inactivated. And then more classes become available. So you meet twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. And that is for the live class. For on demand, those videos are shared on class days in the private Facebook groups and over email. So it will mainly be posted over email, unless there's a reason why we need to share it over Facebook. We just had some issues with Facebook this year, so we're translating to emails. But everyone gets access to those on-demand videos, including the live families. And you also get access with your tuition. It includes the shopping list of materials that you'll need for class, as well as all the printables, which will be emailed to you for each session. Every week you get things to print out. Games to play for class that you'll need. And then it also includes access to all the wind downs. And once you are an HBCU-ish by NeuroNurture family, you become part of the Free Families Virtual Village. And you can stay in the Free Families Virtual Village for as long as you like. We have been requested by past families that they could still continue coming to the wind downs because of the bond and the beauty and the learning and the experience that we have. So once you're in the Free Families Village, you can always come to the wind down. So all of that is included in the $170 for live or the $90 for on demand. And now I want to talk to you about Mrs. D before she shows you her brilliance with her demo class. So Mrs. D is the mom of two amazing, brilliant babies, Anais, who you see right here, and Elias, who is 16 months old. They live in Philly. And her experience, she is a certified NeuroNurture guide. She has been a preschool teacher for kids ages 2 and 3 and a preschool director at 2 different locations. She's a curriculum writer for early childhood programs, both secular and religious. So she's versatile and just just brilliant. And she's a grant writer as well. Her educational background includes a Bachelor of Arts in elementary education, a Master's of Arts in leadership for sustainable communities, and she is a certified postpartum doula. So, especially for the younger classes, and even if there's like breastfeeding going on in the later classes, she is able to support, give feedback on anything from nutrition to sleep patterns to development. We do it all. And also, these are things we talk about in the wind downs, but there's a significant amount of class allotted to talking about these things in class. That's a big part of the younger Biddy and Buddy classes, just having a chance for parents to talk and share the successes and messes of parenthood. So I'm going to pass it off to Mrs. D now, who's going to guide us through a demo class, and hopefully Michael would like to take part. It's okay if she doesn't. Hopefully she'll do it later. We also respect when they are just really not connected to it, and that it can still be done authentically, because the other part I meant to say is that all these classes are intended to truly function as a workshop for parents. And I did forget to say that they function as a workshop. So just because we say on Tuesdays and Thursdays we think it's fun to play with ice and hot water, she may not feel it on that day. But once you go through a class with Mrs. D, you're prepared to guide her through that experience and support her in her inquiry and exploration at any point during the week. So they are workshops for you, as well as if she wants a really fun, engaging class for her. So Mrs. D, I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to get my little materials together and my doll so I can play along with you all.
Good evening. I'm so excited to learn and play today. We will always start our classes off with reviewing. We will begin our classes with reviewing our materials for the session. So first, we have a cup or bowl of warm water, and then another cup or bowl of ice cold water. So a few cubes of ice. We also need one washcloth, and then a small blanket or a towel if you have a towel. Either will work. Either will work. So as you gather your materials, you're gonna join Miss D in the circle to learn and play. You're gonna sing along with me, Micah? Are you gonna sing along with Miss D? Let me just make a little space. We're gonna sit crisscross applesauce, hands on our laps. Can you drum with Miss D? That's it, drum along with Miss D. That's it, you're doing it. Join me in the circle, the circle, the circle. Join me in the circle to learn and play. After we review our materials, we like to start with a call to play, a call to circle time as a gathering song. You can rock along with Micah. You can bounce along with Micah. Join me in the circle, the circle, the circle. Join me in the circle to learn and play. This is play in sign language. Thumbs up, pinkies out, and wave. We are going to play. That's it. And our first activity that we are going to do, we are going to read a story, because our stories introduce our themes for the activities. And the name of this story, I Know a Lot. You see that little girl? She is beautiful. And look at her face. Look at her face. She has a smile. She is happy. That's it. You're smiling. You're showing me a happy face. I know a lot. What do you think this book is going to be about? Let's read and see. I know a lot. I know rocks are heavy and flowers are light. I know bright means day and dark means night. There's a sun out during the day and the moon at night. I know balls can bounce and kites can fly. I know water is wet and glue will dry. I know snow is cold and stoves are hot. If you ask me things, I know a lot. The end. Did you see a theme or did you hear a theme in this story? This book is all about opposites, and we are going to play with opposites. Are you ready? The first thing we're going to do, we are going to play head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Yeah, we're going to identify our body parts. And guess what? We're incorporating opposites. So we're going to go slow and then really, really fast. Are you ready? Do you know head, shoulders, knees, and toes? All right, we're going to do it on 3. And you can either have Micah stand up and you can help her point to the body parts, or she can sit down just like Miss D and point to her body parts. We're going to go on 3. Count with me. 1, 2, 3. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Knees and toes. Eyes and ears. Mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Knees and toes. Remember, Miss D said we were going to do it really slow. Well, it's time to do it really, really fast. Are you ready? All right, let's go on 3. 1, 2, 3. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth, nose, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. If we had more time, we would do it again, even faster. You did it, you were trying. You were trying, yes you were. All righty, and now we're gonna transition and do more opposites. Are you ready? This one requires us to use our listening ears. Can you point to your ears? Miss D's hair is big, so sometimes you can't see her ears. Ears, that's it. Those are your listening ears. All right, this song is called Open, Shut Them. And Miss D's gonna give us some other directions. We're gonna do up and down, and then we have our blanket, and we're gonna go under our blanket. Where's Miss D? There she is. All righty. So buddies, you can take out your blanket. All right, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. We're starting with open, shut them. Ready? Follow Miss D. Open, shut them. Open, shut them. Give a little clap, clap, clap. Try it again. Open, shut them. Open, shut them. Give a little clap, clap, clap. That's right. Our hands open and they close. All right, this one we have to move. We're going up and down. We're standing up and we're sitting down. Are you ready? Up and down, up and down, up and down. Pat, pat, pat. Try it again. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Pat, pat, pat. I forgot to tell you, buddies, to get ready. Wear your workout clothes because these classes are a workout. And our last one, get your blanket ready. Are you ready? Under, over, under, over, under. Can you say peekaboo? One more time. Under, over, under, over, under. Can you say peekaboo? I see you, Micah. I see you. You did it. All right. I don't know if you have water nearby, but get a drink of water. That was a little exercise. Get a drink of water. Typically after our movement, physical activities, we take a pause, we drink water. I tell the little ones that it's important that we stay hydrated. Exercising speeds up our heart. Micah, can you find your heart? It's beating so fast. Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. And we're gonna slow it down with a deep breath. Ready? We're gonna smell the flowers, blow out the candles. And that helps us to focus for our last activity. All righty, we are going to take out our ice water and our warm water. And the first thing we want to do, we are going to start with the warm water. And we are just going to have Micah put her hand in the water. Can you test it? Let me put my screen down just a little bit. There we go. How's that feel on your hands? Warm water. That's it. Warm water. You're doing it. You are feeling warm. Remember in the book, water is wet. So whenever we're doing activities, we are building our little one's language development. Water is wet. That's it. And if you have your washcloth, you can dip that washcloth in the warm water. That's it. And now we're going to feel warm. We felt warm on our hands. We're going to feel warm on our forehead. Can you touch your head, Micah? Warm on our forehead. And what about our big round cheeks? Sorry, our big round cheeks. Yeah, that's warm water. Warm water. That's it. All righty. And we have a second bowl of water. And go ahead and stick your hand in there. You can even pick up a piece of ice. All righty. Ice is a choking hazard, so make sure that you supervise, you keep your eye on her. That's it. We're exploring and feeling the ice with our hands. Yeah, that's cold. How does that feel on your hands? It's cold. The ice is cold. And if your ice looks like Miss D's, it's melting. It was big and it is getting small. And the last thing we're gonna do, we're gonna dip our other washcloth, and you can put one ice cube in there, one ice cube, just like that. And again, we're gonna fill our body parts. This time, let's feel our nose. It's cold on our nose. It's cold on our nose. That's it. And what about our chin? Where's your chinny chin chin? That's it. It's cold. That's it. You did it. You did it. All righty. So we are going to put our materials to the side, and you can dry your Bitties' hands. And as a recap, we start our class off with a call to playtime, and then we move right into physical movement to develop to help our Bitties develop their muscle control, their coordination, lots of singing to develop rhythm and musicality. And then we transition into a sensory experience. Our little ones are exploring textures, they're exploring different dimensions and tactile experiences. So all of our classes flow this way from beginning to end. I usually balance between talking directly to our parents and giving direction, explaining the skills, and then also talking directly to our Bitties. It's time to say goodbye. It's time to say goodbye. Can you show Miss D your waving hand? That's it. And I got a smile. That's right. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, friends. I'm glad you came to play. Goodbye, Micah. Goodbye, Micah. Goodbye, Micah. I'm glad you came to play. Do you remember play? Thumbs up, pinkies out, and wave. That's play in sign language. Micah said, you said bye. Okay, let's close the laptop.
Yes, she thinks she's working.
I love it. All right, well, that concluded our class demonstration. Of course, I was moving very fast through the activities, but I will say one thing that I highlight with our parents is balancing our playtime between our engagement, injecting ourselves by asking questions, introducing new skills, and balancing that with complete silence. And we use our eyes and our ears to observe our biddies. So we usually conclude each activity that I have planned. We usually conclude with a minute to a minute and a half of just pure observation. How are our biddies using their the materials? What new words are they saying? What connections are they making? So a lot of times as parents, we tend to inject ourselves into everything that our biddies are doing. And we like to balance our play with engagement, questions, feedback, and and then with observation. Thank you so much. And I just love seeing she just had a beautiful smile the whole time. She was really engaged.
Yeah. I, like we said, it sometimes just takes her a second to warm up, and then once she does, she doesn't want to go.
Well, we are used to that.
But yeah, and she's still not saying too many words. Like, receptive language is really good, but she's still not really. But we keep her in. She doesn't go anywhere. She's not around any other kids. So that's one of the main reasons why I was looking at this, because I'm like, maybe that will help too, to hear some other kids and that she can do it too, and all of that. So.
And in our Explorers classroom, so with the younger classes, I typically do not do too much back and forth, but with our Explorers, because this is an age where their language development is growing rapidly, we do have moments of unmuting, and I'll ask them questions directly and they can respond. So it's a good balance.
Okay. Yeah. And like I said, a lot of times she will do like whatever the thing is, but she won't really say it. So it's like clear she knows the words, but she's just like, I'm not going to say them. So, yeah, I'm, the other, I guess, question I have. So for that reason, I'd like to do the live, because I think, that would help. But, I work from home. I probably would be able to do one of them, but my mom, her grandma, is usually here with her. Is that fine if she has like a grandparent who is the one doing it one day, and me possibly, and grandma probably like on the other days, type of thing?
That's not unusual. That's
okay.
Common. I mean, a lot of our families have a rotation of people that come and support as play pals or as buddies in the class. So no, and remember I said earlier, sometimes 3 generations on together. So it's not, that's expected and normal.
Okay.
Yep.
That's super great. But okay. Do you have any questions, Derek?
No.
He said no. None right now. So yeah, no, I mean, I like starting, the fact that you have one of a person, well, it's one of those things where we're Facebook friends. I knew her growing up, but Valerie, her family has joined, and that's kind of where I found you guys at. And I was like, oh man, like that is I need something for her, a little extra, because I really do. I went to Montessori myself, and I love like all of the Montessori and Amelia and all those things. And I've kind of been trying to do some of those things, right? But again, I'm also full-time working. So So appreciate, and we also like, as even now as we're starting to think of schools, we're like, are there any HBCU type of like scholar schools in the area whenever we get to that point? So it'd be great to be able to start something like that now, I think, because we're still not quite ready to send her out anywhere. So
You'll find yourself in the same company. I mean, we have a lot of families that's absolutely the case. That's why we have people in the program that they don't want to mix their children in yet,
yeah,
pre-vaccine or even thinking of vaccines. Is there's a diverse set of thinking across our family. So
yeah.
and then also, I think I wanted to just touch on each family because Miss D was talking about some details about how we play and
Mm.
kind of the steps of play and observation. So all of that will be explained in an orientation video
Okay.
that you receive and you can watch. And it's the best way that we figured to make sure you can support the
Yeah.
experience in class and reduce the stress of virtual experiences for you and your child. So,
Yeah.
so you'll get that type of support as well. And then, of course, we have the wind downs and emails. So if you guys think of any questions
Okay.
after this, you can email where you
Okay.
the email addresses you've been getting emails from. You can email either one of them,
Okay.
and you will get a response from either me or Mrs. D or someone
Okay.
else in NeuroNurture. But we'll be here
Cool.
for you.
All right. And then if we do want to like go ahead and sign up, do we just go to the site and do it, or like what is okay.
Yeah, so you can go to neuronurture.org and then there's a tab that says enroll now, and you'll see the option to enroll in
Okay.
the summer camp right there.
Okay.
And you just
Okay.
everything is all on there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Also,
Well, awesome. Well, I will say, like, she doesn't always warm up to everyone either. So, clearly you guys are very warm and she felt the energy as well. So, that's always feels good too. So, like I said, we're sure it will take her a little while to do all the activities and things, but and she was, doing them here or there, but I think also she's like, oh, new people. So she's trying to like do both, right? Like new people, but also they're singing stuff I know, but also
like I want to play, but at the same time, I don't know you.
right. Yeah, exactly. She's like, they seem cool. So yeah. All right. Well, I think at least we'll be signing up for session 1 for sure. Because again, it'll just help like me and my mom, we try to do a lot of stuff and we definitely have a shelf set up for her and she does things here and there, but sometimes it's hard to be intentional about, and that will eventually give us something, like you said, that we can continually do with her a couple of days and things like that. So that sounds awesome. So
and another beautiful thing about this program is it helps you establish that routine,
mhm.
and not just throughout the week, but also in the class. So there are NeuroNurture songs, there are familiar songs,
Yeah,
folk songs. So we do a lot, very, very musical program.
she
And
loves music, so
so
that's great
we're
too.
very
Yeah,
musical
she's
people.
very into it. Yeah, she loves we do let her watch some YouTube. She's like a Michael Jackson fan, so she don't stop till you get enough in like her jam. So
I love that.
but yeah, but we all have to get up. Like when he splits into 3, we all have to stand up and be 3 people. So but yeah, so yeah, I think she will enjoy that too. So yeah, so I think we'll definitely see y'all in session 1 then. And yeah, probably be me and my mom first time because I think Tuesday she'll probably have to take, and then I'll probably take Fridays. But the first one I'll do it too, just to be around, and I'll just but yeah, thank you. This was
Thank
great.
you. We're excited
Thank
and
you.
grateful for this time with your family today and for any time that you allow us to share with you in the future on your journey. So we thank you for your time today, and we're always available for questions.
Okay.
If you have any questions on the website, you can email and we'll help clarify that too.
Okay. All right. Thank you. See you soon.
All
Bye.
right, thank you. See you soon.
All right. Bye.